For
Okay,
sure.
so hey, uh, we're recording now. This is a holochain work study. Last week we built the test program and ran it. I'll share my screen here. And I copied the results here. So I ran it in Windows using the what is it? The vagrant virtual machine on my Windows box, and I'll just follow this. We followed holochain.org start.html, and we went to the Windows vagrant. Okay, and we didn't use PowerShell. We used the Git bash, but we used Vagrant, VirtualBox, and the NixOS plugin. And we ran, and I captured the output here. We have a video from last week. So we went through the cargo build process here, created the DNA package, home vagrant, my first app, distribution, my first app, DNA.json. Maybe we should look at that file. And then we went through the installing node modules. Okay, and then it said running tests in testindex.js. So we'll look at that file too and see if we can make any sense out of it. And here we are. We're in holochain vagrant. Now what happened? Okay, okay, so I exited NixOS here. So I have to get back into NixOS.
Right, and that's I mean, I've done that on the Mac OS, which is just one command.
So I did a vagrant SSH will get me into should get me into the machine. My machine may be having a little bit of a problem here. Maybe I need to exit the program. Taking its time here. Okay, it's telling me I have a new version of Vagrant available. I didn't load it because the version we have is sufficient as far as I can tell.
Is thinking hard about it, that's for sure.
Thinking hard about it.
There we go.
Okay, so am I in NixOS now?
I think so.
Okay, so
And just yeah, this is significantly, different set of commands on Mac OS. Just which is clear in the holochain installation instructions. You definitely are on a different path. Once you get into the Nix shell, I think we should be on the path should reunify again.
um, what do I need to do here? Let's see. Do
So
I need
that's
to run this again?
I'm thinking no, I'm thinking you're in it, but that's what you do on Mac OS for sure to enter the Nix shell. But I mean, if you look at your command prompt there, you're vagrant at NixOS. And prior to that, you were not. You just had a $ prompt. You have a green.
Okay, so I CD to my first app, test, and I can look at ls, index.js. And this is my, I can see that I required a bunch of stuff here. Okay, I call.
So this is your test script.
Right.
Yeah. So this is spinning up some holochain instances to.
So this is the
Just
script
to do that.
example page. Input test over, waiting for waiter to flush. I don't know how clear this is going to be. We're just looking at, okay, I guess this is doing some setup here. And this is the end diorama.run.
So diorama appears to be the testing execution environment. Simply to run tests against your holochain zones and DNA.
So,
And test-based development is definitely the recommended approach with holochain applications development. And I have, in my experience, has definitely been, critical piece. Even if you might like to skip it in other environments, the rigorous testing is really worth staying on top of in a distributed application development environment because of the nature of distributed apps. You want to make sure each little component is working properly because debugging distributed apps is quite difficult.
okay, so the other part of this is the DNA path, which which is my first app, DNA.json. A holochain app, version default.nix. This looks like a binary file here.
Yeah, binary encoded to text format of some kind.
So this is like the Rust file that's been compiled or something?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe that's WebAssembly and then some kind of text encoding on the WebAssembly. Yeah.
Interesting. So we have so this has the code in it, which is the DNA of the app.
That's right. Yeah, the hash of this file will be the DNA for the Zome. I mean, yeah, so the hash of all the files put together, I think, gives you your DNA for your app. The architecture's changed a bit with the Rust implementation for sure. So hopefully I'm correctly. That's my familiarity is all with the Go implementation.
So this has a vagrant file? That's kind of interesting.
What does that mean, vagrant file?
I'm not sure why that would be here. My first app, DNA.json.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused about that as well. Vagrant in general is a virtual operating system shell, yeah?
Right.
So,
well, I don't know why the vagrant file would be in here. I don't know. This is weird. Before I saw code.
well, if you scroll up, there's also some other text encoded stuff. I think. Yeah, you got the default nix.
All right. And then I have the code.
There's your code, yeah.
Right. And then I have the vagrant file. But yeah, it would definitely be good to have someone tell us what these different pieces were and how they fit together, so we can understand the test. And then
Absolutely.
try to see if we can get someone to coach for the next time to walk us through this.
Right. Yeah. So I'm definitely working on that. I'm in conversation with Amanda over there on the holochain team. Definitely has some interest in that and giving us the support we need. And I think it's a little bit of a catch-22 just in that we want to build coherence around this team, that we're definitely have some interested people in order to get the resources we need to coach us and to be there for support. So I think if we just continue along, fumble our way through the best we can, and probably establish that coherence.
Yeah, I would definitely like a walkthrough on this app if we can do that. That would be wonderful.
So the steps you accomplished last week were just basically ultimately getting the Nix shell running. And once you have the Nix shell running, you use the holochain tools to generate the DNA for your first app. And then you just run the tests on that app. So that's basically what you accomplished last week.
Okay, and then I don't know if this did what this really did anything. The description of the example test looks pretty empty.
Well, I believe it writes an entry. It writes an entry to the local chain and or the DHT, and then retrieves that entry.
Okay, well, yeah. Okay, waiter to flush. Okay, then it says test conductor spawn.
I can't see your screen anymore, Jim.
Oh, I'm sorry. So here it's test conductor spawn. Okay,
Right.
and then it's using config path. It has a terminal file here.
Mm-hmm. So the conductor, I believe, is an actual execution environment for the holochain WebAssembly code to run.
But it doesn't paste. Oh no. Maybe I have two. I think my machine is just overloaded. I should have rebooted before.
Pasting into a terminal, unless you have the Power Tools terminal window, yeah, you got to go up there. It's not there. You don't have an edit menu.
I know I paste in this all the time.
I know.
I'm pretty sure it was right click.
Yeah.
No, not.
I
Well,
wonder if it being in the Nix shell, does that somehow? You wouldn't think it would. Oh, well, you're in VI too, of course, right now.
right. That sometimes I have trouble with some shells. I have trouble pasting in VI. Okay. Conductor config. Okay. So, so this is the ID for Alice, or the ID of the. We have Alice and Bob. We have agents. This is defined here,
Right.
and they have key store files, and they have public addresses or those like public keys.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have interfaces.
So the test is spinning up two instances, two nodes, two agents. Yeah. And then they're each going to write entries to probably the DHT in this. I'm guessing, we could double check that, but I would imagine that would be the point of the test, is that each agent is going to write an entry to the DHT, and the other agent ought to be able to look up that entry.
It looks like it's going to have a WebSocket interface. It has a logger. Okay. So it's unlocking the agent keys. Okay, so it starts the instances, which I guess are the agents. and then the interfaces, and then the UI servers. That's Conductor connecting to admin interface. Adding agent Alice. So this diorama has something to do with the test framework, or?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Jim. Thinking diorama is the test execution environment.
So we got some error here. Yeah. Now, I don't know if that was expected as part of the test or not.
The git hash of the runtime, maybe that just means that you're not up, you don't have the latest version.
Adding agent Bob.
State could not be loaded due to none error.
Okay, and then at the bottom here, it says that it ran one test and passed one test. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Well, we have this recorded, so maybe we can figure it out. And we'll have to see if I'm going to see if any of these people, I mean, we have a few people in the Colab who are learning Rust.
Good. Well, I just want to clarify, Rust is by no means a requirement to write holochain apps. It is very helpful at this stage because the only SDK they've written so far is for Rust. Although I did see something with .NET. There is some accessibility for .NET. So
I would much rather write in Rust than .NET.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's everybody's preference. I'm just trying to clarify that anything that compiles to WebAssembly, ultimately, there should be an SDK for someday, right? So whatever your favorite language is, if it does compile to WebAssembly, you can have some confidence that you will be able to write a holochain app in that language.
All right. Well, it's getting,
Well, that was a great presentation. Thanks, Jim.
Sure. Hopefully we'll get a little more guidance later on what's going on, but at least we're getting our feet wet.
Man, that's it.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks for Jim. Just for your rigor and wanting to just move forward with making some technical progress on this stuff. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Take care.
Yeah.